You guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Hello and welcome to another episode. Little technical difficulties there. Could you guys hear that music just right or no? Was it acting
Yeah,
weird?
it's good. No, it's good.
No, it's good.
Good. All right. Hey. All right, boys. Welcome. Friday Night Lights episode. Got a kind of a special episode going on tonight here. How's everybody's day? Let's start there. How we always do.
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Another Friday Night Lights podcast. I like the Friday Night Lights podcast. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. I like to have those thrown in every now and then. I still always like the Thirsty Thursdays. But yeah, the Friday night ones are good. I just actually got back from. I know I said I was probably gonna be late because I was doing some like Halloween walk in town, like around this pond. And dude, the pond is not very big at all, but it took us like an hour to get around it just because the line was so long. People were just letting their kids take forever to choose a piece of candy. And there was only like 6 stations throughout the entire pond. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, let's go. I got to get like, it was really a test of patience for me for tonight, for the entire hour. But I got over it. We're back here doing this thing.
I think it's because you wanted to hurry up and get here.
Exactly. I wanted to do this. It's a special podcast tonight. We had to be here. Couldn't be late.
Absolutely.
So much fun. I can't wait for Henry to tell you guys why it's a special podcast. But yep, just got off work. Just trying to hurry home. Everybody's here. Let's have some fun.
As usual, I'm the one who provides a blanket of freedom for all of you. So let's get it going.
Well,
and we love.
All right, boys. Well, I guess. Hey, how do you like that? How do you guys like that new background?
That's pretty cool.
The ones that they're wearing tomorrow, right?
Not everything but the black pants. They got black pants on tomorrow, except for the
which is totally fine. I love.
Yeah, pretty sick, huh?
You see, number 74. I can tell who that guy is right there.
Well, boys, as always, we break out the podcast with our initial thoughts on this upcoming game against the Gophers, the game for Florida Rosedale. You guys all know that backstory on that?
Yeah.
You sure?
I actually don't.
Yeah.
I actually don't.
We'll look it up.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Freaking grow up, guy. Grow up.
Yeah, man, I should crack a book every now and then, I guess. Sorry.
I'm glad that Ricky said
that. Well, now that we got that taken care of.
Well, guys, well, Floyd's been here for a while here, 7 years now.
Yep.
And the goal this weekend is to keep him here, and hopefully our boys show up to play here. So what's your initial thoughts on the game, boys? What are your strategies to make it stay here, I guess?
Defense all night, baby. Is that what everybody? I think everybody's gonna say that. Yeah.
Everybody said the same thing at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
No, I was actually gonna say the only offense we're gonna have is the run again. So
yeah,
I was actually everybody knows the defense, special teams.
Yeah, so, defense for sure.
Again, for us, I believe that our defense will control Ethan, just like the Iowa Hawkeye offense. Our ability to sit there and kind of shut down their offense, make them one-dimensional, because a lot of times that's what Iowa Hawkeye offense is, one-dimensional. But if you shut down Ethan quickly, and then if all they have is a run game, they're in trouble. So our D, and then we have one weapon. We have an Aussie weapon. Oh, Torrey Taylor. That's going to do great things. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think I'm on the same boat as you guys. I think it'll be a defensive game. I think both ends on both sides of the ball. If you guys haven't noticed or looked it up, we're the worst offense in college football, and I think Minnesota's like right behind us, not too far behind. I think they're like 128 or something like that.
Yep.
So
I think it's going to be a real nail biter of a game. Yeah. Yeah.
You said it.
Yeah.
So
Real nail
you
biter
know,
game.
We're 130 for real.
so I think it's what's that? Yeah, we're down at the bottom. So
At least we're the best
it's
worst.
gonna be tough.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
If you ain't first, you're last.
We
right?
are
Absolutely.
the best at
Yeah, we're
we're the best at
So-
sucking. Hey,
Absolutely.
that's all right though.
But Henry,
But
I do
here's the
believe-
thing, guys.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
what's that? No, I was gonna say
What'd
I
you
think
say?
we have a guest. But I said I think we have a guest, which I would love to hear their initial thoughts as well at some point.
That's why it's special. This is why it's
All
special.
right, boys. Yeah. So this was a special podcast here, guys. So everybody knows our thoughts on our Hawks, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of thought I'd reach out and spice some things up here and try to get a perspective on the other opposing teams. You know, thoughts. See how the
Yep.
you know. So I reached out on the Gophers fan page, and lo and behold, I got a response, not only from a Gopher fan, but an actual writer for a columnist for a web page. How cool is that? So
Yeah, that's
I couldn't ask for
and the
anything better.
webpage. And the
Oh,
webpage
absolutely.
is called lastwordonsports.com, right?
Yeah. So and then I'm just gonna bring him in. He can introduce himself, and I thought this was
Absolutely.
the coolest thing that we could,
Let me
you know.
let me bring this one in. So you
All
know
right, go
I like to put names in front of my name, right? As tonight, I'm Iowa Jesse. So tonight, let me introduce you, Minnesota Jesse. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for
What's
having
up,
me.
Jesse. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's a big week. Floyd of Rosedale will be decided in less than 24 hours now. So it's a good border battle game.
That's right. We'll either be sipping on our sorrows or celebrating. So what's
So what
going
can I
on?
do?
So yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, you want my perspective on the game or some kind of
Yes.
general thoughts?
Well, actually, why don't we just start here? I got a quick question here.
Yeah.
Does really Minnesota really hate Iowa?
Oh, that's a great question. So here's the thing. I don't think that Minnesota hates Iowa. They're the Hawkeyes. I think that we've been jealous as fans for the last 20 years or so. And the reason is, Iowa, like, your record hasn't been significantly better than the Gophers, but in particular the last 20 years, you guys have beaten us. So I think it's this kind of jealousy thing where the Gophers are just like, Gopher fans are just kind of tired of Iowa beating the Gophers. And the other part of it, and you guys mentioned this at the start, was about the Hawkeye defense. And it's just like we can't get over that hump where we haven't been that successful. So I think your question is a good one, but I don't think that we are that we're kind of bitter rivals. Just we've been jealous, to be honest. And until
fair.
I think that's going to continue to
That's
be.
fair.
Yeah, it's
And I feel like
that's a good
almost
take on
like
it.
other major sports, right?
What's
It's
that?
not just football, but like wrestling and all that other stuff is like almost on all those other sports also, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny so I don't know. I mean, you guys have the Cyhawk game, and that's obviously a big thing. The Gophers' kind of two border teams are the Hawkeyes and Wisconsin, and there is a lot more hatred. That rivalry between Minnesota and Wisconsin. I don't even just say the Badgers because it's actually the Vikings and the Packers as well. So that's more of a deep rooted thing. I think with Iowa, it is just the Hawkeyes, but wrestling has been big. Basketball, I mean, with you guys with Caitlin Clark and all that stuff has been awesome and fun to watch, but like that rivalry hasn't been there, but I think it will be at some point with the Gopher women's basketball team.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I was really been on the spotlight. I mean, especially with basketball. I mean, Caitlin Clark she's like blowing up, NIL, all that stuff, and she's awesome.
So,
Yeah,
go ahead, Rick. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to ask him. Did you get a chance, or I don't know? I don't even know if you even heard about it. But last weekend there was the crossover to Kinnick.
I haven't.
So it was just an exhibition match against DePaul University, I believe is who it was.
Yep.
And what it was, so they moved the basketball court onto Kinnick Stadium.
Oh, okay.
And it was pretty much the Caitlin Clark show is what it was, right? Because she just signed that thing with State Farm.
Yep. NIL.
So State Farm paid for the entire flooring and everything. So people went there pretty much just to watch Caitlin play, and she did awesome. I mean, it was a little bit chilly. The girls were cold. I mean, everybody was cold, not just the girls. But it was pretty cool to have. There was do you guys remember the number of attendance to the game? It was like
A little bit over 55,000.
55,600 and something
Yep.
six that attended the game, and that's just wild because that's an entirely new record that was set for the women's basketball attendance, and that was really awesome. It was a really cool thing to be a part of. But yeah, I was just curious. It wasn't even really televised.
It
but
was.
It was on Big Ten Network, wasn't it?
Was it on Big Ten?
Yeah.
No.
I don't remember what it was.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that your athletic department took a page out of the book. I don't know if you guys saw in the fall the Nebraska women's volleyball team.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, and that was like, I don't know, 90,000 or whatever it was, and it broke the like Guinness record.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. I think they did it after it was a football game, or it was something where they got just a ton of people there. And I'm assuming Iowa's like, we got to do this too. Because
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But I just thought I'd bring that up and see if you had maybe heard about it or anything. But
I hadn't. But that's pretty awesome. I've started to pay attention a little bit to Iowa basketball because I mean I think everyone has or women's basketball in particular because of Caitlin Clark.
for sure.
There's probably in a couple of years, but there's a girl that lives in the suburbs of Minneapolis, where I live, who's I know you remember Chad Greenway, who's a
Yes.
Cyclone. Sorry, Iowa great, and sorry about that. And actually lives close to me, but his daughter is one of the best basketball players in the country of her age, and everyone here is like she's going to be a Hawkeye at some point because when Caitlin graduates, I think this girl, I think who's maybe going to be a junior in 10th grade, she'll be
That's awesome.
Going to college. So I wouldn't be surprised if Greenway's daughter ends up down there.
Yeah, she was just here. They were just here the other night. I went to the football game where he was inducted to the college football. Was it the Hall of Fame or something? His name's up on the.
Oh, okay.
His name's up on the
internal. Yeah, the internal Hawkeye Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So and his daughter was here on that visit. I think the official visit then. So
yeah.
Her
name is
I don't see
Madden Greenway. I think.
Madden Greenway. Yep. So yeah, the girl should be set. I just kind of just a whole different world now. That's kind of weird how and now that I have a daughter, it's like completely different that pushing women's sports is going to be big on my.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just kind of amazing, just push it forward. Great to see, along with Iowa having the women's wrestling team now. It's just going to be great all around, pushing it forward here. So
yeah, that's going to be really exciting.
But hey, you know what? Let's get into the game.
Yeah,
let's get into the game. I'm ready. So, I'm absolutely ready. Yep.
So Jesse, being on the backstage, can you hear everything back there? We've never had anybody backstage. Yeah, because you can hear what we're saying. So you heard our initial thoughts on the game. I think everybody was kind of more on board with the defense. It's going to be a defensive game. Why don't you give us your initial thoughts on the game here?
So for starters, if you guys don't know, the Gophers are 3-3, and they're 1-2 in the Big Ten. Really going into the season, the expectations for this year, I think from like a Vegas perspective and probably a fan perspective of media, we're like down on this year on the Gophers for a couple of reasons. One is the Gophers play a really hard schedule. Some people said it's one of the hardest in the country. But in particular, we played Michigan 2 weeks ago. We played Ohio State in the second to last game of the year, and then we played North Carolina, who when it was scheduled as a non-conference game forever ago, was probably like, it's North Carolina, but they're a top, I don't know what they are now, 15 team. I mean, they're great. But obviously, and then, Wisconsin, Iowa. So I think everyone was kind of down on the team because of that, but also, so there's a lot of new things with the Gophers team. So if you've watched, been a Hawkeye fan last however many years, the Gophers have been pretty consistent in PJ Fleck's tenure, or in particular last like 5 years. We had the same quarterback, for good or bad. Like, he wasn't elite, but Tanner Morgan was like one of those 6-year guys. And so he was a great leader, and he was a good football player. There was Mohammed Ibrahim, who was a great like bell cow running back and kind of everything. We had a great offensive line, and then our defense was the last couple of years actually right up there with Iowa. So kind of Phil Parker had his defense, and our DC, his name is Joe Rossi, and he was really good. Anyway, so coming into this year, the team, though, in just my perspective, is a little bit, it's got a bit of identity crisis, partially because, as you guys mentioned, our quarterback, who's new, Ethan Kalikmanis, who is like potential, but he's still a young guy. We have a new running back, and in 6 games, we've had 3 different running backs start. We have kind of new defensive line, and it's very uncharacteristic that our defense right now ranks mid to low, from a kind of yardage standpoint. Now, granted, we played a couple of high-powered offenses, but so I think the team, and PJ Fleck said this in his weekly press conference earlier in the week. He's like, we're trying to figure out who we are. Like, are we going to throw the ball with Ethan, who, like I said, he's young, but he's got a quick release, and he's got high ceiling. But are we going to be a running team? What's going to happen? So I think that your take, and I've written this down in my notes before, was, it really is about Iowa's defense. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, from a Gopher perspective, can Minnesota's offense be successful? And I don't mean like successful is not a high ceiling. I mean, like, can we score 2 touchdowns, right? Like, if we can score 2 touchdowns, then the game's going to be in play, because Iowa's offense, and you guys haven't talked about it yet, but I'm sure your listeners know, you've got challenges, right?
Yes, we do.
With the injuries and all that stuff. So, I think it'll come down to that. And then the X factor, and you had said it too, was the special teams play, in particular, because yours is really good, but Minnesota's is not that great. We have a kicker with our field goal guy is good this year, but our punter, I don't have the stats, but who is also an Australian guy, by the way. There's this like pipeline of these Aussies that come play college football here. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing he's like 8 to 10 yards less than Taylor. He doesn't flip the field. He's not nearly as good. And that is such a big difference, where you guys, I think I saw like Taylor had one touchback out of, or whatever, his punts within the 20 were, I mean, it was crazy numbers,
Yeah.
That is such a big difference. So anyway, those are kind of some of my takes, but I think we're probably on the same page going, all right, who's the first team to get to like 15 points might win this game,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah. So if I may say, me personally, I like PJ Fleck because he takes chances. That's one thing that defenses have not done in years, right? Mm-hmm. As of recent, we can sit there and say, hey, the 25-point thing, the first 2 or 3 games was the thing, and we took chances. After that, it's gone out the window, and here we are. My big thing is, it's going to be a defensive struggle battle all the way through. And I think you're right on. If Ethan starts hitting throws, which hopefully our secondary will go ahead and shut him down, then it'll fall to the running game. And then that's why I always say, like, we're one-dimensional. And if we shut down Ethan throwing, then we'll both be one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. And then it's just going to be a struggle bus all the way through. And then it's whoever can lock in that best field, advantage. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Yeah. What one thing I had heard this again, I don't have the stats, but we Minnesota has been surprisingly successful in the run game against Iowa the last couple of years, and you guys could pull it up, but Mohammed Ibrahim had
Which is good.
Yeah, he was kind of like a bell cow, like they give him 30 carries or whatever it is. And I think he had a late fumble last year, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it kind of flipped the game. But we have done surprisingly well compared to how you guys normally do. I would say though, if I'm Phil Parker, I'm not afraid of Ethan. I think so.
Yeah.
So the Minnesota running backs, I'd mentioned that we've had 3 different guys start. There's a freshman who his name is Darius Taylor, and I think he's a true freshman. He played sparingly in Minnesota's first game, and then the second game he did great. He was the Big Ten Freshman of the Week, and then he won that award for 3 consecutive weeks. So I guess it'd be week 2, 3, and 4. And it's early, so you don't really know what he's going to be like, but he looks like he's kind of the real deal. Now he didn't play 2 games ago for Minnesota, and he was a game time decision for the Michigan game, but all signs are pointing towards him coming back this week. And not that he's like a difference maker, but he could be. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Gophers take a conservative approach, because Ethan is prone to making mistakes because he's young, and he might throw the ball or attempt, like, let's say 15, 16 attempts. I mean, just a guess, but then we'll give our running backs, we have another freshman who is the freshman of the week 2 weeks ago. So we have these young guys and see if they can have any success against Phil Parker's defense.
You weren't playing, right?
All right. So you as a Minnesota fan, do you guys like at all? Obviously, everybody probably all knows, but I just wanted like another perspective. Did you guys fear our passing game at all whatsoever? Just
Do you mean this year or just in general?
this year. This year.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean,
No.
I had been following. So I wrote an article earlier this week, and I at the time when I started writing it, your tight end Eric Hall wasn't. He was the one that was injured last week, right?
Yep.
And so they hadn't announced that. So I'm trying to go through in my head, just as someone covering the team, like, okay, is it your quarterback? I know he's not the same as Cade McNamara. Like, is he going to be able to throw the ball to all? And then I read that he was out as I'm writing this thing, and I'm going, I don't want to like skip to the end here, but I did predict that the Gophers will win, but partially because the Iowa offense is just, I don't want to say it's going to be a non-factor, but it's, I mean, 2 of the top, I mean, you guys know this, but 2 of the top wide receiver or pass catchers are out. And I did some quick math, not my strength, but that All and Lachey are the team's 2 leading pass catchers, account for 42% of Iowa's receptions through like now, and 53% receiving yards. So like, that I'm not sure what they're going to do, but it's going to be a challenge for Iowa.
Yeah.
And I feel like Eric All just passed Lachey last week for most receptions out of everybody, and
right.
Lachey's been out for. But I just wanted, like I said, I think everybody knew what the answer was going to be, but it was just one of those like we need to get somebody else's perspective. Like,
yeah, I think it'll be tough. One other thing. So we've got 2 guys coming back from injury that could affect the game. So one was the Darius Taylor on the offensive side. On the defensive side, maybe we can flip to that and talk about that a little bit. But one of our probably our second best player is a linebacker named Cody Lindenberg. He's been kind of like out. It was one of those like he was going to test like the first game, maybe he was going to come back, and for 6 games he didn't come back. He's supposed to play this week, and that might help. I know your running back had a great game last week. And, that might help from a Gopher perspective. Now, this guy's not like, he's not like Cooper DeJean. Like he's not,
Yeah.
but he's good. And I think that will help our defense a little bit. And that might mitigate your running game, which has been improving, over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. And from a lot of the podcasts I've been listening to and whatnot, who's your number one defensive back? I think we're supposed to try to stay away from him.
Yeah.
If we're gonna go anywhere, stay away from that guy because they said he's a legit.
Tyler Nubin.
Yes, Nubin.
He's kind of all American-ish. Like, he's at that level. He's got three interceptions on the year, but he's a great leader. He'll be in the NFL and be playing on Sundays. That's
right.
But I think they'll probably put him all over the place because last week I think you guys completed, like, if I remember correctly, like one reception to a wide receiver. I know it was
Nico Ragaini. Yeah, he's the only receiver that received a pass, and
that was his first one of the season too.
Yeah,
Nico's. Oh wow, yeah, that's not good. So it's going to be a one-dimensional game then, by the way we're talking here. So
yeah.
I think before Cade got hurt, I think we were kind of in the same boat there, where we were trying to figure out, like you were saying, right? Like, we're trying to find ourselves. Are we going to be a running offense or a passing offense? And I think we found out who we're going to be forced to be now after he got hurt, right? So yeah, I think we're definitely a running team this year, boys. I think we figured that out. So whether we like it or not, we're going to have to be a running team.
Yeah, and we should
every now and then, but
I think we'll be okay. I think we got Jazz Patterson back, so now we got our top three are back, and then Maury Moulton. You know how he kind of came in and filled in our true freshman. He did great too. So being a running game, I think we'll be all right as long as we can open up holes against that defensive line of Minnesota. So
yeah. So, and again, any smart defense would just stack the box, right? Let's be honest. Any smart defense would just stack the box and say, hey, let's who's going to win this battle. And as Minnesota Jesse stated, if Minnesota scores 15 points, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things, and it's not an X's and O's thing, but just the fact that Minnesota hasn't won, has had no success, almost no success in Iowa City. I read, so the last time Minnesota won was 1999. That was when PJ
was Kirk's first year.
Yeah, and that was also when PJ Fleck graduated from high school. So I was like, that is so far away. And then, obviously it's been 7-8 years, or I forget what it is, but so I think the mental advantage of your team and probably your coaching staff and Kirk and all the coaches all the way down is like, and your home advantage obviously, but like that kind of mental edge, like on some of the Gopher message boards, people were. So I kind of wrote my prediction, and I know people, some people are like, "Are you kidding me? Minnesota's not going to win. We're going to lose 3-6 or whatever it's going to be." Yeah. And I think people we have to get that out of our heads. And I'm not sure if it's been like this for Iowa, but there was a while where the Gophers in Wisconsin and Iowa, we're all rivals, but Wisconsin had our number for years, and the last 4 years we've kind of traded with them, and we have a border battle trophy with them, and we kind of got that off of our list. But now Fleck is like, this is the one team that's got his number. Out of all, he's been 7 years and 12, 13 games a year, and Iowa is the only team that I'm sure he looks over on the other side of the field and he sees Ferenc walking up and down, and he's so opposite of PJ Fleck, in every way. So I think that is something that if you're a Hawkeye fan, you're like, listen, we've got history on our side. We've got Kinnick on our side. We've got that kind of swagger of that's the thing that makes me nervous as a Gopher fan.
So go ahead. No, I was going to say, but we played bad Purdue teams. We played bad Indiana teams. And we think that we're doing really good, and then we come out and just lay that goose egg to these teams that were just like, how did we lose that game? And that's what I love about football, because you have to play all 4 quarters, and then it takes one field goal, it takes one rushing touchdown, which we knew a couple years ago in the Big Ten championship with Michigan State. They scored that last minute touchdown, and we're like crap. So at the end of the day, I truly, again, I'm a realist. At some point, Minnesota is going to catch our number.
Yeah. I don't know if it's this year. I mean, I think it could be, like I said, but really because of the offensive injuries. Yeah. But I don't know. It's funny, is you guys as diehard Hawkeye fans, and this me as a Gopher fan, I feel like we're kind of both doing, like that meme where the guys are like doing this. We're like, I don't know about us. We're like, I don't know about us.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I don't know about him. I don't know about him. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like doing this kind of thing. Like going,
yeah.
Touchdown. I don't know. But the special teams, though, back to that, and this is not just about Mark Crawford, but about your return game. So Minnesota's kick and punt and kickoff return coverage has historically not been great. Again, I don't have those numbers, but that is something that could also be a field position thing, because I know that you guys, from a punt perspective, well, first of all, you guys return punts. Minnesota's very PJ Fleck's a little risk averse, so like they'll fair catch everything. And if I understand correctly, you got like Cooper, isn't it Cooper? Is the
Cooper DeJean?
Yeah,
punt returner.
That guy's got stones. Like he'll return anything, and he's tough, and he's whatever, and he can take it to the house. So I'm like, that's probably one of the X factors in my head. Going, hey, if you guys can get lucky from a field position standpoint, long return, if you start at the 40, kickoff at the 45, 50-yard line and have a shorter field, also because of the return game, that could be a problem for the Gophers.
Yeah. So overall, PJ Fleck is 0-7 against Kirk as a Minnesota Gopher. And then when he was at Western Michigan, he was 0-2 against Kirk. So, he's 0-9 overall.
I will say those games are close, though. So
close games, yes.
Yeah, 6 of the last 8 losses that Minnesota had to Iowa were close games. There was 7 or less points. Yeah. And I know we're, being close is not, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day,
at the end of the day, yeah.
But like, that's the thing is going, people kind of forget those games have been closer, and some of them they're closer than they should, because you guys were like clearly better. But to your point, or whoever had said about kind of playing down to the competition, we've done that with Minnesota before. I'm not saying this year, but like there were teams where you were significantly better than the Minnesota team, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but you kind of either we stepped up or you played down to but at the end of the day, you guys are 6-1. I'm like, who cares how you get there? Winning ugly is still winning, right?
It is, yeah.
And that's just it. As Iowa fans, we should be past that point now where that we're angry that we're not winning. We're not winning in fashion, but we're winning, right?
Yeah.
The thing is like we don't.
This whole narrative of not wanting to make the Big Ten championship game because we're going to get embarrassed is horseshit, if you ask me. Who doesn't want to make the championship game? Your team is there.
Who doesn't? But the thing is,
your team is there. I know you don't want to sit there and take an ass whooping, but you know what? If I took a little kid team to a championship and got my ass kicked, how proud I would be of those boys.
Yeah.
The thing is,
it's just one of those things. I know these are paid boys and whatnot, kids, but at the same time, be proud of your team.
But the thing,
the
journey,
always
right? the road to the
right.
final.
We got a whole story.
Yeah, it's the road to. Yeah, it's the story of it. Yeah, I see.
I love it, but
what you're saying.
We should have been there last year too, with the same exact schedule we have now. That's one of those things. Like, how are we not just dominating our schedule right now? But yes, I love winning. I love to see him there. I want to go to Indy again. Let's do it.
So are you guys? So who are the top? So you played Penn State. Who are your
Yeah.
crossover games for like the last 6 games of the season from the East?
From the East,
None.
None.
N-
I don't think we
uh,
have any.
I don't think so. I think maybe Rutgers might be in there, but
Rutgers,
after
yes,
that,
Yeah.
Rutgers.
yeah,
Yeah.
after it's just Rutgers. But Rutgers is playing
Rutgers is
really
the
good.
only other.
Yeah, but Rutgers is
Our
playing good
remaining-
football though.
Yeah.
Our remaining schedule is Minnesota this weekend, Northwestern, Rutgers, Illinois, and Nebraska.
Yep.
So I think Northwestern. This is the thing about Minnesota's identity, and just food for thought for next week when you guys do this about Northwestern. Minnesota lost a brutal game
In
first of
overtime.
all, it's Northwestern, but it was a comeback, and it was just not. I'm nauseous. I don't want to talk about it, but they won 3 games now. I know,
Yep.
not so like. I'm not saying that's a trap game because I can't see any way that you guys would lose to them. But now looking at like when I had predicted Minnesota's schedule, I was like, well, I think we're going to win 7 games this year, and obviously Northwestern was not one of them. But like they're not horrible, so I don't know how good Minnesota is. Like we lost to Northwestern is 3-3. We lost to Michigan, who's like, in my opinion, the best team in the country. Like they're amazing all the way around. And then we lost to North Carolina, who's Drake May is like the real deal. He's awesome and can pick you apart. And so it's like that's the thing. Minnesota could come in and just lay an egg and be horrible tomorrow. Or like we could come to play and we're like, okay, maybe we're not as bad as at least us Minnesota fans were kind of like down on, but we'll see. That's why you play the game.
That's why you play the game. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just keep moving on here, boys. So,
We're gonna get to Mr. Wright's or Mr. Wright on. We're gonna get to his favorite subject next.
favorite subject here. So, all right. So, as everybody knows, our OC,
Brian Ferentz. Let's just say his name. Let's say his
OC
name.
Brian Ferentz here. He's got this big speculation on his
Clearing his throat.
contract. The 25 points per game. What's I know Iowa's, like I said, the laughing stock of college football here, and they're winning games. So what's Minnesota's thoughts? I mean, where are they running this? What's the beat around there?
About Brian Ferentz.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I don't think, objectively you go, all right, like he's not good at his job by most metrics, right?
Yeah.
You kind of feel bad for just as like a fan going, look, I got 3 boys, not that I'm a coach, but I've coached youth stuff. I'm like, well, what if one of my kids coached and did a bad job? I'm kind of like, as a fan, I'm like, it's kind of a shitty situation. I don't think that's embarrassing. I think it's more funny in that like sports way of like, I'm assuming there are trackers so you could see, people are like, oh, how many points did he score or whatever. But I don't know. To me, it's an easy way out for them not to. They will fire him, but not. Kirk won't have to fire him for cause. It's like a contractual thing, so he's kind of like, that type of thing, and there's no bad feelings there. But I heard Kirk say that they've never made in his tenure. He's never made any changes with his coordinators, or he hasn't. I don't know if you saw that. I think it was earlier in the week.
Yep,
and
you're right.
I don't know. I don't think it's embarrassing. I just it's like they should. Anyone else would have cut bait 2 years ago, right? Like they would have said, "Hey, you're just not doing a good job. It's a business. It's a big business. I was, you're big time football, right? Like you got to do what's right." But I don't know.
Nope. I definitely agree in regards to that. So, you look at it, we had O'Keefe. At one point, we had Davis come in. Davis came from, I believe, Florida. And then, we have Brian Ferentz.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, as you stated, at some point, you had to cut the cord. But we continued not to do that. We continued to sit there and, be the last in college football. But any other program, probably one of the funniest things is even Dabo Swinney, when they lost to whatever freaking team it was, he's like, yeah, we're playing a freaking Brian Ferentz playbook. And he says that on live TV, ESPN or whoever was there, at what point, like, do we not sit there and be like, well, hey, you know what? If Dabo Swinney uses Brian Ferentz, the OC of Iowa, as a pun, holy crap. Like, again, I'm a diehard Iowa fan, but it's sad. It's saddening. Yeah. And we can sit there and we can talk about nepotism. We can do this. Mr. Jesse, I'm going to tell you what right now, and hopefully next year we have the chance to do this again. They will not fire him at all.
You don't think so?
Oh, absolutely not.
I'll fire my family in a heartbeat right now. All three of you.
Yeah. Me too.
If you didn't know, we're all related too. We're all related.
We're all
me and Henry and I are brothers, and then yeah.
We're all brothers and cousins. But I guarantee you, no matter what they say, he'll show up again next year. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, who's the offensive coordinator? It's doggone Brian Ferentz.
Yeah.
At what point do we sit there and say, hey, you know what? Like, special teams, everything else is great. Let's bring in an actual specialist who understands offensive side. Brian Ferentz was an offensive lineman. Okay. And here we are playing this silly game. So quote me now. Next year we can talk about it, because I would love to have you back when we do this again. But he's not going nowhere.
Well, what about Kirk? I mean, is he? I don't know where he's under contract, but he's got to be. He's got to be close to 70.
Yeah, he's at the 29. Yep.
Yeah, Kirk's still 2029.
Oh, so he's not. Because I just figured it might be a package deal where he's like, I'm done. But maybe if he's still got football,
And like we said on our last podcast, this was my thing. He goes 11-0. His kid's not getting another contract. He's gonna ride off into the sunset. And he says, I'm done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. This could be his last ride. That's why I truly do think that.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing when you have a coach or a team that doesn't perform well in some certain area, if they don't use your tight ends, well, that's the opposite for you guys. But like, you're a prospect. So like, my son wants to play college football, or he's interested in it, and you look at teams and you're like, do they use a tight end? Do they use whoever? Like, if you're a wide receiver, there is no chance that you're going to go to Iowa now, unless you're like maybe a grad transfer, like McNamara was like, okay, well, if he's got more time, they can throw to him. But like, you're like, there's no chance. Now, if you're a lineman, Iowa's got, great linemen within the state, and tight end and that kind of stuff, and obviously defense and whatever, but like a wide receiver. So that's kind of one of the biggest things. It's like, you just have to accept we'll get like 2-star guys, which you can maybe win with, but you're not going to win a Big Ten championship with it.
No.
Right.
No.
Boys got anything to say?
No, I think we all agree that we don't like Brian. And rumor has it that he's trying to use Caitlin Clark's 30-something points that she scored last Saturday. I don't know. I just heard that.
She's like, hey, can I take 7 of your points?
Yeah. Yeah. It just said Hawkeyes.
Yeah, it was at Kinnick. That's funny.
Yeah, it was at Kinnick, exactly. So technically it should count.
That's a count.
Rick, that's a good one. That's wow. So
that's slick. I like it.
So maybe we will see Brian Ferentz then, if that's the case, then next year.
Oh yeah, he's in for sure. He's sliding right in. He was thanking Caitlin. But yeah, I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head with our thoughts on Brian and
Mr. Right On, you love him, don't you?
Yeah, I think
I think hearing about him.
Anytime we get a chance to talk about him, anytime. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, Minnesota, Jesse, so you got what do you got left on your schedule, guys? It's had your bye week. You got Iowa, Michigan State next, Illinois, Purdue, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. What's your What's your prediction on your team there the rest of the year?
You know, this is a total lame duck question or answer rather, but you know, it really depends how Minnesota comes out tomorrow, right? Like if it's the team that we're like, okay, we're a good team, then we should theoretically, you know, if we beat you guys tomorrow, then we should go 5-1. We'll lose for sure to Ohio State.
Yeah.
But Illinois, Purdue, Michigan State, but before the season, I was kind of high on Illinois. And some people
Everybody
were like,
was.
hey, you know,
Yeah.
that they're going to compete
Yeah.
in the Big Ten. But like this year, I mean, granted, if Minnesota's not a good team, then like, you know, we can go 3-3 on those games. But I really like to think that we get our shit together, and with the running back coming back, and I think we'll get back to that, like, you know, protect the ball a little bit more, play smart, play efficiently. You know, I don't know. I would guess 4-2 after, you know, from tomorrow to the end of the season, but we're not going to be in a position, even if we do win tomorrow, to overtake you guys to win the Big Ten West. And you guys have a leg up on Wisconsin too. So, you know, I think you guys are fully in the driver's seat, which is great for you. And I can't see any other, I don't know, weaknesses for the Hawkeyes. I mean, I know you want to be more confident about your wins. You're just even hearing you guys now, but you guys are in the driver's seat.
Yep.
And to be honest, I think this was the number 2 team that on my schedule, I guess, as long as we get it was a flip flop between you guys and Nebraska for me to be in the driver's seat. And then, you know, if we get past tomorrow, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
All the way through. You know, Nebraska, I watched your guys' game. The first game of the season, Big Ten. Exciting to watch. Exciting game. Went into overtime against Nebraska, you know. Am I right?
I think that was our first.
Yeah.
That was our first podcast too. So we were like, "Do you guys watch that? Are you guys watching this game?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our first. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, if I ranked them, it'd be you guys, maybe Nebraska 1 and 2. You know, and the rest of the way is everybody else. So I think I'm pretty confident with our boys, but we'll see where it takes us from there.
Yeah.
Everybody else on the same page, or go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, you know, it's funny. We all look at the Big Ten West. I'm assuming you guys do too, as like being, you know, weak this year, but it's partially weak because because of like Iowa. My opinion is not up to the standard of the Iowa maybe last 5 years, right? You know, like your team is good, but I don't think on paper you probably would say it's as good as it's been in some of these other teams. I know your quarterback inconsistencies for the last couple of years too, but the thing is, like, it's a week. Someone's got to step up. You know, I thought Wisconsin was going to, you know, Luke Fickell coming in from Wisconsin, but that hasn't been this air raid thing. I think Minnesota is lucky. We're lucky that we played Nebraska and got away with a win in that the first game of the season, because I think the consensus was, for at least from fans, is that Nebraska was going to continue to get better with, you know, as they got through the season, because Matt Rule, from what I saw, I really like him as a coach. Like, I don't know him from anything, but he just seemed like smart guy and culture dude. And he's like, you know, you're going to blink and pretty soon they're going to be good again. So like, that's not great for us, you know, kind of long time, you know, Big Ten teams, but we'll see how that goes. You know, next year, everything gets blown up and it's all different anyway.
Yeah. Boys, anything on that? You guys good?
I'm going.
Final projections. I want Minnesota Jesse's final projections of this game.
Well, you want to skip over a couple other things we have on the agenda here?
No.
Yeah. No, we're gonna veer away a little bit here, but we'll come back to our final predictions here. But you know, this recent investigation on Michigan, crazy, isn't it?
Oh, and Harbaugh.
It just popped up ever since we made this rundown here. Just kind of, I think they've already fired or put them on leave. They're
on Harbaugh.
Yeah, not Harbaugh, but it'd be his. I think they said it was his. Whatever John Budenmeyer is, like assistant quarterbacks coach or something.
Yeah.
not a coach, but he was on the sideline. I think they. What are you guys' thoughts on this? This is breaking news.
It's kind of all news to me, like new news to me. I was asking some of my clients today and stuff like that at the barbershop, and it was Ohio State's coach, right? That Ohio State was the one that initially initiated all this stuff. It's like,
Yeah, you're
I
right.
don't know, man. Like to me, it's just like, how is it your biggest rival that I think they're afraid to play? How is it them that you're using the sign stealing? Everybody does it. I'm assuming, but it's like, how are you just gonna do all this? But yeah, all of this is super like, oh, I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't care about Michigan at all. Good for them. I'm just focused on 1 week at a time, baby. 1 week at a time. That's it.
And that's what I said as too. It's like F Michigan won, but this is whack. How is the biggest rival gonna do this?
All
My
right, so
mind.
then,
Yep.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, my mind says the road to Indy, and
Yeah.
that Deacon Hill can throw passes to receivers. Yeah. So here we are.
We're focused on two other things, yeah. And then I guess the biggest rivalry of the weekend is Penn State against Ohio State. What are you guys' thoughts on that game? What are your predictions? I'm gonna take Ohio State on this one, but
I'm gonna have
to
to
win
follow you
this
there.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to follow you there. I think Ohio State's gonna start off slow, like they tend to do whenever there's a big game, and then they're gonna gain traction, and then they're just gonna steamroll them. That's my thoughts for that.
Minnesota. Jesse. Yeah. What do you got?
Yeah, I think Penn State might surprise Ohio State, but I don't know if they're going to win. But and this is a little bit on a personal side. Like I know someone was doing some work with the coach with Penn State, and so I'm kind of rooting for them. But it's for them. They're the underdog, but their defense is stout and they haven't played anyone that great. Their quarterback's good, and I don't think he's really been tested. Drew Allard, I think. So I don't know. That's one of the games. I mean, obviously, I think that's is that the same time as our game? Or is that earlier?
I'm
going to have that on the second TV, tomorrow.
Yeah. I think everybody in the nation is going to be watching that game too. So, highest scoring game and lowest scoring game probably.
It's tomorrow at 11.
Tomorrow at 11.
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, so we'll have something to watch then.
Sweet.
Beforehand, because I. All right, so let's roll it right into it. So I got one final question. So if Iowa and Minnesota were to team up, come together, and collectively hate one team, who would it be? And does it rhyme with Penn State?
Nope.
That's the question for Mr. Jesse.
Who are your biggest rival? I mean, besides like Iowa State, maybe, but like who do you consider your biggest rival? This is not answering your question, Henry, but I don't know. I don't.
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
It is
Yes.
Nebraska. Okay.
Thank you. Somebody said it.
I said Nebraska too. I said
Oh,
Nebraska.
you did.
I think we're all
hate
four of us are
Nebraska.
on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, we're all for ganging up on anyone, but Nebraska had never really been a big rival for Minnesota, although Scott Frost hadn't. PJ Fleck is polarizing just because he's not crazy. I think he's a good guy. He's a good coach. I've heard him speak. I know, but he's not for everyone. And Nebraska was very opposite, just like a little bit like Iowa is too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Minnesota join forces with you guys and beat any other team. You can do that. It'd be a whole lot of defense and not a whole lot of offense, I guess. But.
There you go. Yeah.
There we go. I like that.
All right. So let's go ahead.
So like now number 2, I have to say is Illinois. Illinois is getting better and better. Well, last year they had a great season, and I think that they're going to continue to climb. And we want to talk about the new additions that we're about to get. USC Oregon, all those, which is, what, good. USC, come to the Midwest, play in the snow, come get your taste of the snow, and see how they'll fare out. But I think like Illinois, I don't know why, but they're going to be a threat, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm just glad we have our protected rivalries. We got Minnesota coming back, we got Wisconsin coming back, and we got Nebraska. So,
yeah.
Are you guys on the same thing? You guys got the same?
Yeah, we have.
You guys got Wisconsin, right?
Well, we have Wisconsin and Iowa. I don't know if it's protected with Michigan. We have an old rivalry trophy that goes back forever, but
you guys do okay.
And we've got one with Penn State, which is newer and kind of a whatever Nebraska thing. But it's going to be so different, and it's going to the next however many years. I mean, college football is going to be different, so who knows what it's going to be like.
And that's a whole conversation for a whole nother podcast, to be honest, guys. There's just so much to talk about. It's going to change a lot next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that being said, what are your final score predictions, boys? What do we got? We can start with Rick here.
Oh, all right. I'll go first.
We'll start with Rick.
Oof. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a real nail biter, boys. Like I said earlier, a test of the defense. Some big plays on offense here and there. I think both us and Minnesota, I think we're going to be depending on our run game, right? So it's going to come down to the fight in the trenches, right? Someone's going to have to get tired, and we're going to have to execute on the plays. We're going to have to really execute the fundamentals, and I think there's going to be a challenge because that's what we've been kind of struggling with since the season started. So Brian's not going to get his 25.
No.
Right? So my prediction is 17-14 Iowa.
Hitting over, huh?
I am. Hey, someone's got to do it.
That line's so low now, 30.5. We should probably keep hammering that. Hey, what do you got, Iowa, Jesse?
Oh, man. I'm going to keep it at 17-10 Iowa. I got.
That's all you got? All right, Mr. Wright, what do you got? Let's go.
Too easy. This is no BS. 17-16 Iowa.
1 point game, huh?
Well, yeah, but we're counting on the defense to score a touchdown because the offense can't do it. So, they got to give us one at least. Doggone. So, 17-16.
All right, and we'll take it to our guest then. See what he's. If you haven't read his column, he's already got a prediction out. But
I know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So my prediction, which was I think lofty, but it was Gophers 2013, and I know that's that's on the over. I think we're going to get. I'm hoping that our offense is going to get back on track this week between efficient passing game and running the ball well. But again, I think you guys said it, like whoever gets to 14-15, is probably going to win, but it'll be an interesting game. I mean, as a fan, but I think football fans should want to watch it because it's kind of like, say the unstoppable force and the movable whatever. It's like these are two teams there. It's going to be a slugfest, and I'm curious how many times we punt collectively at the game. I mean,
yeah,
sure that's it's going to be 17 times or some crazy number.
So as the stats roll out, I think it was 6. As long as Kirk gets up by 8 points, I think he's now his stats are 63-2.
Oh wow,
crazy stats. Yeah. So as long as we get up by 8 points, I think our Hawks will pull this one out. I'm gonna go with the same score. Minnesota. Jesse rolled out with 20-13. Is that right?
Yeah.
But other way around though. Iowa.
Oh, I was gonna
say.
I was like, oh
yeah. Yeah, I'm going the same score. Iowa way though. So yeah, boys. Well, I just want to thank Minnesota Jesse for joining us today.
Thank you.
This was great.
Fun. Yeah, we should
this
do
is
it.
fun. A lot of fun.
More often.
Minnesota Jesse. So one thing. So we've always talked about like Jason, Mr. Right On has got a tradition on how he watches the games. Where do you tend to watch the Minnesota games on Saturdays?
Yeah, we've got. I was saying this, I think, before we started, got on the air, but we got a couple TVs on, and my kids are big sports guys, so we've got the computer, we've got the phone, and then like the two screens on. So
nice.
We kind of do that type of thing. And if I can go for game, I can. Like went to the Michigan game. Tailgating was great, which was not always a thing, but last like 6-7 years has been really good, and that's fun just as a college fan. And Michigan fans were there too, so I like going to games if I can, but it's fun just sitting on the couch and watching a whole lot of college football.
At the house. Awesome.
I agree.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'll be watching it from. I'll be outside the stadium. I guess I always help Jerry Marge sell some food out there at the tailgates, outside on Kinnick on Melrose, so we get to watch the players walk in and whatnot. So we'll be there supporting our boys. Anybody else with Rick?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be working it though.
You'll be working
too. Yeah, I'll be working too. But I'll be there. I'll have a good seat.
Mr. Wright, you gonna be outside? Is it nice weather out there in Kentucky?
So, as I stated before, I'm here in Fort Knox, Kentucky. As about a projector, I'll have it placed up on my wall over that yonder, and I'll be watching there with my family.
I will be watching it
again
at home, and then I have to go to multiple weddings tomorrow. I got to go to multiple weddings tomorrow, so I'm gonna be with the earpiece in.
Who has
ceremony.
weddings during football season?
That's
Whoever.
what, see, I've
Guys,
always
the
wondered
people
that.
getting married tomorrow. You guys hear me?
That's a whole nother podcast, guys.
I'll play my theme music. I miss it, Justin. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jesse, thank you for joining us, Minnesota Jesse. Been great. And if you didn't know, we always dance at the end. What's your move?
That's true.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Jesse.